Although my brother, Tom, often said unkind things to me, it seemed as though I was unwelcome there, and I should leave. My sister-in-law, seated next to me, squinted her eyes and smiled quietly, seemingly enjoying the look of surprise on my face when I turned to our mother, who had been a part of my life for so long. She said sadly that it might be better for me to live with my brother and his wife, both of whom graduated from prestigious universities and work at top-tier companies, rather than remaining with her. "Linda, you always stay indoors," she remarked calmly. My mother, sister-in-law, and brother all appeared oblivious to how much I'd financially supported our family and contributed to our well-being. Though it hurt, I responded, "Fine, I'll leave. Don't ask for my assistance anymore," and began packing my belongings. Observing me, my sister-in-law sarcastically remarked with a smug expression, "Giving up so easily, Linda?" However, no one knows who will face more difficulties in the future. Ignoring this may lead to problems. I am Linda, and I've achieved significant success with my online business ventures. My journey had an unexpected beginning. While in university, I imagined I would secure a typical job at a conventional company. Everything changed in my second year, when my father fell ill and required daily care. My mother was not adept at household duties, prompting us to hire caregivers, though they weren't available at all times. I often had to step in to assist. Witnessing this, I grew concerned about the future, wondering who would tend to my father once I entered the workforce. Relying solely on my mother was not an option, so I began researching ways to earn a living from home. While studying business online during university, I applied my knowledge of economics. I partnered with friends skilled in management and economics and others proficient in computing, leading to the launch of our online business project. We established a pleasant office space for those who found it difficult to focus at home or for newcomers to learn the ropes. Personally, I rarely visited the office. My primary workspace is at home, enabling me to stay with my father. It's where I accomplish most of my work. One day, my father asked if I had foregone a traditional job for his sake or if securing one was simply challenging after graduation. His question moved me, and I explained that I had been running my online business since college. It's thriving, allowing me the freedom to work from home. My father's pride and appreciation for my responsibilities meant a great deal to me. I'm not the only one responsible for caring for him. My older brother, Tom, is 2 years my senior. Tom often exhibits a selfish nature, rarely considering others. His academic performance was exceptional, and after graduating from an elite university, he effortlessly landed a position at an esteemed company. We were surprised yet delighted to hear about his job. Our attempts to congratulate him met with unexpected responses. He informed us of his new life in the city and his intentions not to return home. After abruptly ending our last call, Tom became unreachable, ignoring our attempts to communicate despite our father's financial support throughout his college and early years on his own. Both Dad and I were taken aback and dismayed by his behavior. We wondered if our mom was secretly in contact with Tom. Despite Dad's declining health and need for daily assistance, Tom's complete silence seemed to indicate he didn't care about his family duties. Unexpectedly, one day, Mom shared that Tom had reached out to me out of the blue. He mentioned his plans to marry and asked for a wedding gift of $99,000. Mom relayed this to Dad and me, looking worried about our financial situation. She mostly stays at home, only working part-time 3 days a week, spending her salary on lunches and outings with friends. I was amazed that Mom would consider giving Tom such a large sum, given how long it had been since we last heard from him. Initially calm, Dad soon became furious, questioning why we should offer him so much money after his prolonged silence. He directed his frustration at Mom, who looked to me for support. Mom attempted to justify, calmly saying, "Consider that Tom is getting married. I want him to have a good life and maybe give us grandchildren. It's what parents wish for." Her words were painful as they disregarded my choice to stay home for her sake. Dad also expressed frustration with Mom, saying, "Linda stays home to care for me because you didn't help enough." I gave much support to Tom, yet he never showed gratitude. How can you ask us to give him such a sizable gift now? That evening was filled with heated arguments between my parents. While I listened worriedly from the adjoining room, concerned for Dad's health. Even though Mom always seemed to favor Tom, unaware of why I remained home to assist Dad, it saddened me. After Mom left for dinner, Dad expressed appreciation to me. "Linda, thank you for always being here." I assured him, "It's okay, Dad. I've known for a long time about Mom's preference for Tom. I'm used to it. You've given me so much, supported my education, and inspired me. Without you, I might not have launched my online business." Dad's smile offered some comfort, but I couldn't comprehend why Mom, with such a caring father, acted so self-centered, or why a brother, absent for years, would suddenly request a large wedding gift. The most shocking event occurred not long after. One morning, I discovered my father unresponsive. Although I contacted emergency services, it was too late. He had passed. Many attended his funeral to offer their respects, reflecting his fortunate life. Typically, the wife would handle the funeral arrangements, but Tom seemed prioritizing his phone over Dad's passing, leaving everything to me as a result of her busyness. I was upset and felt like I had no support. My focus was on organizing the funeral so Dad could have a fitting farewell. During the service, an unexpected event occurred. Tom arrived dressed casually, accompanied by a woman in a flashy dress, which startled everyone. Mom welcomed them with a smile. "Glad you're here, Tom. Now we can share in Dad's inheritance," Mom declared boldly, altering the atmosphere in the room entirely. Her announcement left everyone bewildered. Tom loudly quipped, hinting sarcastically, "Honestly, I don't think Linda should expect any inheritance. She was just home taking care of Dad." His awareness of our family dynamics and Dad's health must have been from Mom, yet she neglected to acknowledge my financial contributions. Whether there was any inheritance from Dad, who required care, went unconsidered. Even though Dad once had a good job, making such remarks during his funeral was highly inappropriate. The mood became stiff and somber. "Should we leave now, Tom? We're going to get the inheritance anyway," Mom commented, clutching his arm. Seeing the woman with Tom, I recognized her as his wife, due to her similar disposition, and surmised her character matched his. Surprisingly, even Mom seemed to align with them. "How about we go get some sashi?" she suggested, and the three departed. Other relatives looked surprised, some voiced their shock, and I urged, "Let's remain composed out of respect for Dad." Despite my frustration, I continued coordinating the funeral. Upon returning home, the dining table was in disarray, with 3 sushi boxes likely delivered. From the living room, laughter and voices filled the air as Mom, Tom, and his wife Jessica enjoyed themselves with drinks. "You're late, Linda. Can you prepare snacks and fetch more alcohol?" my brother requested. Their insensitivity astonished me, especially given the circumstances of Dad's funeral. Despite the wary glances from relatives, Mom, who should have rectified their conduct, joined in their mirth, rationalizing my feelings about staying. I speculated they might not have arranged a proper service if not for me, so I asserted, "There's no inheritance for you, and I refuse to fetch more drinks or snacks for them." Tom, now inebriated, grew agitated. "What do you mean, Linda? You've always been home, causing Dad trouble. It's only fair we use his assets." Knowing Tom relied on Dad for college, his sense of entitlement puzzled me. His disregard for owing Dad anything was exasperating. "Isn't this house Dad's?" Tom asked, asserting, "As the eldest, it should belong to me. Why is Linda, inactive all day, residing here?" Mom and Tom shared this sentiment. The fondness Mom previously showed me had vanished. "This house is mine," Tom stated adamantly. "I want Linda gone." His wife appeared unperturbed, and Mom added, "I feel more at ease with my son." Feeling unappreciated, I noticed that Linda's wife seemed more successful, yet they ignored my contributions to the household. I felt a wave of disappointment and sadness. With a sigh, I declared I would leave and asked them not to request anything further from me. As I packed my belongings in my room, I overheard my sister-in-law making disparaging remarks about me, implying my lack of wealth, which amused everyone but left me smiling bitterly to myself. At this moment, they might perceive me as the most unfortunate one, but there's something unknown to them. My father had legally entrusted this house to me while he was alive. Despite Mom's long-standing residence and her claims of lifelong ties to this place, the property legally belongs to me. Her indifferent attitude during our father's funeral prompted me to reconsider the future of the house. Maintaining a large house alone would be a challenge, so I decided to sell it. Observing my family, unaware of my decision, finding joy in my supposed misfortune evoked a sense of pity in me. Their expectation of inheritance from Dad seemed absurd. Before her illness, Mom had a stable income, but as her health waned, she spent her savings hiring daily help and on daily expenses. Even when Dad fell ill and required more care, she continued spending as usual, depleting her savings further. Realizing Dad's savings were depleted, I began contributing $3,000 monthly to assist with household expenses. While Mom handled household chores, she wasn't adept at financial management, often making impulsive, unnecessary purchases without regard to sales or budgets. Her part-time job earnings went toward her hobbies and leisure, and she withdrew more money than necessary for daily use, much to Dad's chagrin. Ultimately, the savings Dad accumulated were expended by Mom. As I prepared to depart, I withdrew all funds I provided for household expenses, unwilling to allow Mom's continued spending. The following day, the unexpected happened. "Linda, did you withdraw the household funds?" Mom's voice came through the phone, tinged with surprise and slight distress. "Mom, what household funds? Dad's savings were depleted when I last checked. Did you forget your withdrawals?" The ledger on the table details your withdrawals from Dad's savings, which Dad was aware of too. After his funds were gone, I provided the $3,000 monthly support, I explained, hearing Mom likely searching for the ledger. Shortly after, the sound of the living room door opening reached my ears. "What happened? Wasn't there supposed to be an inheritance after Dad passed away? Did you use it all?" My brother's voice mixed with anger and disappointment, joined by his wife's disbelief in the background, questioning, "Mom, did you really summon us back home to support you financially? That's harsh." "No, that wasn't my intention." Mom tried to clarify, her reasoning clear. She called them back regarding the inheritance. Knowing this, I understood their trust in her had eroded. As we all left our stable lives, jobs came here hoping to receive Dad's inheritance, but now we're left wondering how we'll manage. "Tom, I had no idea you made such a crucial decision. This is news to me too. My brother once had a decent job, but I wasn't particularly concerned about their choices, as they didn't impact me directly. And what about the $2,700 you've been receiving every month?" he asked Mom. "You mentioned Linda wasn't working, right?" Mom looked at me, surprised and guilty. "Linda, what's happening?" she inquired. With a slight smile, I suggested looking into remote work. These days, you can find a job without leaving the house. They had no clue about my thriving online business, and I intended to keep it that way. If they knew, they'd rely on me, or worse, interfere. "Please return. Let's be a family again." My mother's voice was soft, as if she hadn't accused me. But I had no desire to go back. "Mom, you're hoping to depend on my money, aren't you?" Regarding the house, while Dad was alive, I assumed ownership for the property taxes. It's mine now, and since I don't plan to live there anymore, I asked my uncle, he owns a real estate agency, to sell it. He was upset about what happened at Dad's funeral, so if my brother's family stays, he will evict them. Losing our home was unimaginable. Mom sounded shocked, and I could hear my brother asking what was going on. Too overwhelmed to answer, I left everything to Uncle, who promised to manage things and explain to Mom and my brother's family, so I trusted him. "Goodbye, I'm cutting ties with you and Mom and won't use this phone anymore. Farewell." With that, I ended the call. Their reaction was predictable, though I felt a touch of sadness. It would be challenging for them to find me. I'd always dreamed of moving abroad, something I never even told Dad. I wanted a life in a warm, diverse tropical country. When Mom and my brother's family asked me to leave after Dad's death, it was the perfect opportunity to fulfill my dream. Evicted from the house, I started packing and searching for a place overseas, somewhere peaceful near the beach, and I found the ideal spot. Now, I live alone in a short-term rental near the city center, with excellent transport links, perfect as I prepare for my overseas move. My brother, his wife, and mom are busy finding a new home after the eviction, probably without thinking of me. By the time I heard they were cramped in a small apartment, working part-time jobs to survive, I'd already settled into my new overseas life. My uncle hired a detective agency to discreetly monitor them. They discovered my family was still financially struggling, overspending, and even borrowing from risky lenders. If things continue this way, debt collectors may soon be after them. I've severed ties and won't get involved. It's unlikely I'll meet them again after all that's happened.